Of Locked On Sports Atlanta, and it starts now.
Good morning. Welcome to A to Z here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, where today I tell you, I hope the old dog has some new tricks. Welcome in. We are live here once again on our YouTube channel, our live stream. So make sure you guys, if you're watching, give us a like and a follow. We certainly appreciate all the love and support. Up near 3,000 followers now on our YouTube page. So continue to like and subscribe to all the content here on Locked On Sports Atlanta. Of course, give us a follow on Twitter at Mark Zinno and at Locked On ATL. A lot to get to today, including a prediction for Kyle Pitts that I'm actually going to place money on myself, as well. Some reactions and overreactions to the Braves sweeping the Boston Red Sox at Fenway Park last night in the two-game series. We'll get to that, as well as Shovels of Wisdom, all coming up today on the show. Appreciate you guys starting your Thursday with us here on A to Z and Locked On Sports Atlanta. And again, don't forget to leave some comments down in the comment section here on our YouTube page. If you guys are live streaming and watching live, certainly love to interact with you guys there as well. All right, let's start today with UGA. And I know the Braves are all the rage here for a moment, but I kind of felt like this was important to address because we are getting closer to the season. And we're starting to, with the coaches poll coming out, and that doesn't mean anything, folks. Don't even sweat it. But, we're just getting the itch for college football to get back. And so Andy Naylor, who writes to The Athletic, covers college football, did a, mailbag. You know how reporters do these mailbags. It's like, hey, send me whatever your questions are and I'll answer. Well, somebody named Austin wrote to Andy Naylor and said, quote, Stetson Bennett will finish his career with doubters no matter what he does in 2022. But doesn't it look like the UGA offense has a chance to be elite and help cover some of the defensive attrition? The offense went into handoff mode with backups in the second half of games of 21, but the explosiveness was there a year ago. And the return of Bennett with a tremendous tight end group, Eric Gilbert and Brock Bowers, and good wide receivers could be a scoring machine. And that was from Austin. Well, yes, Austin is right that Stetson Bennett is going to kind of always be questioned at the end of the day as a better than great college quarterback. Why? Well, there's a couple of reasons why. One, we view our quarterbacks nowadays through a passing lens, right? And how well can you throw the ball? How deep down the field can you throw the ball? How many passes can you connect with? How many yards can you put up? How many touchdowns can you throw? All those sort of fantasy football ideals have permeated our conscience and have forced us to look at things in a certain way. The other thing we look at our quarterbacks for is their ability to be dual threat. Can you pass and you run? Can you do those both effectively? Can you help your team win games? It is now the rage in the NFL. Having an immobile quarterback is seen as a liability. A pocket quarterback is seen as a liability versus a mobile quarterback can make things happen and make plays. The problem is that Stetson Bennett is the perfect Alabama quarterback prior to 2016, right? He is the pre-2016 perfect Alabama quarterback, the pre-Clemson quarterback, right? When Clemson started winning national titles. Think about it. Greg McElroy, national championship. A.J. McCarron, national championship. Jake Coker, national championship. You want to take any guess on where any of those folks were drafted in the NFL? Well, McElroy went in the 7th round, McCarron went in the 5th round, and Coker went undrafted. Why? Because they didn't express a great skill set that wowed anybody. That sounds eerily like Stetson Bennett. Does he have a great skill set that wows anybody? No. Not only no, but hell no. And, Stetson doesn't fit either mold of the quarterbacks that we talked about. Guys who throw the ball down the field, do it with a ton of accuracy, throw a lot of touchdowns, and he doesn't run, or he's not perceived as mobile. And so even this year, when he gets into this season, and I agree that this offense is going to be pretty potent. And I think that this defense from last year will have some sort of regression. I 100% believe that. That said, is Stetson Bennett good enough to pick up the slack? And he's going to have two of the best tight ends possibly in the country. He's already got one of them, Brock Bowers. But Eric Gilbert could be equally as good. This is a tight end group that could have over 80 catches and over 20 touchdowns combined. Like, that's not out of the realm of possibility. But again, tight end passing doesn't really move the excitement needle about quarterbacks. Why? Because tight ends don't run 45 yards down the field. That's not what happens, right? Like, that's not how all this goes. And so while it's great to connect with them, and they're outsized tight ends, and they create mismatch problems, and they're going to constantly be open, and they're huge targets in the red zone, we look at that as more on the tight end being the reason why things went well than the quarterback. Now, here's the real rub for Stetson Bennett this year, more than anything, because the question is, can you win with it? And the short answer is yes, you can. But if your defense isn't all world, like Georgia's was last year, if you run into a Deshaun Watson like Bama did, and you run into a Trevor Lawrence like Bama did, or in Georgia's case, you run into a Tua Tagovailoa / Jalen Hurts when they lost the national title game to Bama. You got to have an all-world defense to shut that stuff down. And Georgia did last year. That's what they did to Bryce Young. That's what they did last year. So can you win with this guy? Sure you can. But you better have an all-world defense like you did last year. And don't give me, oh, look at the final score of the national championship game last year. Guys, it was a 1-point game with about 8 minutes left to go. Like, let's not change the rewrite history here. You know, I mean, Alabama had taken a 18-13 lead. Georgia scores a touchdown. Now, granted, again, they went right down the field in 75 yards in 4 plays. They scored a touchdown, but they also got a huge pass interference call on that drive. So that wasn't all Stetson Bennett throwing it 75 yards down the field. Georgia's defense did exactly what Georgia's defense does. 3 plays, -2 yards, and a short 38-yard punt. And next thing you know, a touchdown again that also had a pass interference penalty on Alabama. I'm not saying this to denigrate, and the last one, of course, was a pick 6. So, you know, you get 2 touchdowns and 3 touchdowns overall in the course of 7 minutes with a pick 6 and 2 pass interference penalties on 3rd down that extended drives. I mean, again, sounds like I'm saying this to knock Stetson Bennett down a notch. I'm not. It's just the reality of the situation. The reality is that Stetson Bennett still has a lot to prove. And guess what? Stetson Bennett's not going to be drafted because nobody sees the value in him beyond college. Now, he might be undrafted, or he might be maybe agent like Greg McElroy, a 7th-round pick, if he does really well. I mean, a lot of guys will draft a guy based off a championship pedigree. There's another national title. He'll get drafted in the late rounds, just like McElroy did. Didn't McElroy win 2, or did he win 1 and McCarron win 2? I forget. But anyway, I mean, there's not a skill set that's special about Stetson Bennett, and that's okay. But objectively, he is a very old school quarterback in a new school game. All right, coming up next, a prediction about Kyle Pitts that I'll actually put my own money on. That is coming up. First, a word from our friends at Built Bar, the people who invented healthy and tasty protein bars. Well, newest gift to your taste buds. If you haven't tried the coconut brownie chunk Built Bar, it's amazing. It's just one of those protein bars that you're absolutely going to love. Well, guess what? Your friends at Built have given it the Puffs treatment. That's right. Coconut brownie chunk is in Puffs. Remember Puffs? I told you about it. It's that protein, marshmallowy, gooey goodness. It is amazing. Coconut brownie chunk Built Bars, the flavor that you love, now in deliciously chewy marshmallow covered in 100% real chocolate. Stop drooling and listen. They're good for you. Low calorie, low sugar, high protein, and delicious coconut brownie chunk Puffs bars are here for a limited time. So you got to go to Built.com right now to make sure you don't miss out, because they are going fast. Of course, they taste amazing, but you can enjoy them guilt-free because they're actually good for you. I love my Built Bars right after dinner if I want something sweet, or if it gets later on in the evening, I'm looking for a snack and don't want to feel bloated or overweight or anything. Built Bars are absolutely perfect. And this one is particularly delicious, the Coconut Brownie Chunk Built Puffs Bar. Go to Built.com right now and use the promo code LOCK15 to get 15% off your order. Again, use promo code LOCK15. All right, let's pivot here to the Atlanta Falcons, who, oh, by the way, have a game tomorrow night against the Detroit Lions in the preseason. And I'm still holding off doing the,
what do you expect to see in the first preseason game?
It's just the laziest sports talk out there. Sorry, it just is. Like, don't do that. Try harder. There's more content out there than.
What are you looking for? Here's what I'm looking for in the first preseason game.
Yeah. Anyway, my good friend Michael Rothstein of ESPN.com had a great column out there on Kyle Pitts and why he could be in for a special second season. And I've talked a little bit about this on the show over the course of the summer. And one of the things that Mike Rothstein points out that is the one thing that we all point out when it comes to Kyle Pitts of his great rookie season, where he was the first tight end in 60 years to break 1,000 yards. And he was the first tight end since 2002 to make a Pro Bowl. First rookie tight end, I should say. But the only number that stood out about Kyle Pitts last year was 1, as in touchdowns. That's all he had. Well, Mike Rothstein again points out that you can tell that number still really stuck with Kyle Pitts, and he expects a lot more this year. That's why my prediction, I won't even call it bold, but I will bet on it, and I guarantee you, you're probably getting at least 4.5 to 1 on it, if not more than that. Kyle Pitts will have 2 touchdowns in the season opener, and I'll put my own money on that. If it's that important to him, and again, I trust Mike because I know he's a great reporter and he senses these things and really is very astute about it. If it's still sticking in his craw, he's talked to Marcus Mariota about it. They're going to scheme for it, and they will absolutely get him the ball in the red zone. I have said about Kyle Pitts my expectations for this year because the number one biggest jump in your football career of anybody who has a sustainable one is from year 1 to year 2, right? You've now got a year of football under your belt. You understand all the processes of the NFL. You understand what it takes to get ready for a game. Your body has gone through a full rigors of a regular season, all 17 games, 16, 17 games of it, right? All those things you now have the muscle memory for. Now that you have all that muscle memory, you could turn the attention back to better understanding the game, knowing how to become a better football player, understanding what advantages you need, whether it be offensively or defensively and all that. That's the biggest jump. So it's fair to have high expectations of Kyle Pitts this season from a statistical standpoint. But I'm not even focused on touchdowns. And I've said this before. There are absolutely 3 things that I am focused on for Kyle Pitts. We've talked about these before, but it bears reiterating again. One of them is targets. Last year I had 110. That number better be at 130. There is legitimately no reason whatsoever for him not to be the number 1 targeted player in this offense, period. And why? Because in Mike Rothstein's column, he talks religiously about how not only once or twice, he gives one specific example, but multiple drills. He has dominated defenders, has had wide open catches, has had an easy target or an easy sort of reception area for the quarterbacks to get the ball to. And while you could argue that says bad things about the Falcons defense, because they keep giving up, you get the point. But it plainly says that Kyle Pitts is nearly impossible to cover. Even the fastest linebackers are going to struggle to keep up with him. Even the tallest safeties are going to struggle to be able to get him breaking out of a route in the right spot, right? So there is a reason to believe that every time he runs down the field, there is a decided advantage and mismatch in his favor And that said, well, he should be getting the ball more than any other player on this team. Now, I know I said, what do you expect to see in the preseason game? I'm not going to do that, but I will take note. They better force feed him the ball just once. Don't care. Because you're going to force feed him the ball all season long. Don't care what the situation. Like first third down, just throw it to Pitts. Throw it his way. Why? Because that's going to be the mantra. This dude's going to be open. This is our guy that moves the chains, which is the other major stat that I'm looking at for Kyle Pitts. Last year, nearly 2 out of every 3 catches that Kyle Pitts made went for a first down. First down. That number better be in the same spot. He better be the move the chains guy. On third down, everybody should know the ball is going to Pitts and nobody can stop it, period. If it doesn't, it better lead to, what did we talk about the other day earlier this week? Illegal contact penalties, pass interference, defensive holding, whatever it may be. Either way, that better result in a first down because that's the kind of guy that he needs to be. And then finally, the third stat is yards per catch. Last year, of all receivers with at least 50 receptions, Kyle Pitts was 5th in the NFL in yards per catch at over 15 yards per catch behind guys like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, really big, fast, tall guys that, run 40 yards down the field and catch a ball in the air, pass defenders. He's in that category. Not because he runs 40 yards downfield really fast. Why? Because, he does a 4-yard out route and then turns it upfield. Nobody can catch him. So, not expecting him to run fly routes down the field. Although they could use him that way. Who knows? But those are the 3 things I'm looking at for him. Targets, yards per catch, first downs. Those are the things that Kyle Pitts needs to be judged against. And if he's exceeding in those categories, then he is going to have a huge impact on this team. Let the world know early and often, folks. And fantasy nerds, take note. If you're drafting Kyle Pitts, you better start him early. Because if they don't force feed him the ball early, guess what? He's going to become useless late. And I don't mean that in the game. I mean in the season. Sure, he'll put up numbers, but it'll be garbage numbers. The games you're behind in, everything else. If he's not scoring touchdowns in the first half of games, seems like a schematic issue to me more than anything. All right, well, we'll hand out shovels of wisdom right after this. Get to the Atlanta Braves as they get set for another series and some reactions and overreactions to the 2-game series with the Red Sox. But first, a word from our friends at Coffee AM. Coffee never tasted so good. Coffee AM is an Atlanta-based small batch coffee roaster that sends you some of the freshest coffee out there. Why? Because most of their coffees are roasted and shipped on the same day or very close to it. This is a company that when they send you a box of their coffee, I'm telling you, you don't even have to open it. You can smell the box. That's how good the coffee smells, and it tastes amazing. They only roast current crop specialty grade coffees, and they got a selection from around the world. Countries you haven't even heard of: Sumatra, Kenya, Tanzania, Transylvania. I kid. But if they had coffee from there, I'd try it. Why? Because it's delicious. Organic, fair trade, direct trade, and expertly crafted huge blends, espressos, coffees, teas, and gift set, a whole lot more. And they're roasted right here in our backyard in Georgia. Go to coffeeam.com/locked on today and take a look at their full menu of coffees, teas, and gift sets. That's coffeeam.com/locked on. Use the coupon code locked on at checkout to get 15% off your first order of coffees, teas, and gift sets. Coffee AM, the best small batch coffee roaster in America. All right, we got to get to the Braves here as they had a very, very good 2 games. At least the offense woke up and started playing baseball the right way. We'll get to them in a moment, but now time for a shovel of wisdom.
Brace yourselves, because it's time for the shovel of wisdom.
You know how we do it every day. It is this show's responsibility to set people straight. For saying or doing something stupid, we got to whack them right upside the head with a shovel. A metaphorical shovel, if you will. We do it the shovel of wisdom. You can hand out yours as well on my Twitter account, at Mark Zinno, MarkZinno. And use the hashtag shovel of wisdom. And today my shovel goes to Tony Jefferson. If you're a football aficionado, you might know Tony Jefferson. He is a safety for the Baltimore Ravens. And he tweeted out last night at around 9:23 Eastern, I suppose, 9:23 p.m. Quote, "I can't even lie. I stopped wearing my glasses years ago, and that might have been the dumbest thing I've done. I can see so much clearer and further with my glasses. It's wild. Tony, this is a guy, by the way, in the NFL who's like on his second chance. Didn't work out. Got picked up by the Ravens again. He's fighting for playing time against the 13th, 14th overall pick, whatever it was, in Kyle Hamilton. Yeah, there you go. I mean, somebody responded to him, and he responded back, I wasn't wearing anything. I used to wear contacts and glasses in college, but I've stopped. Yeah, Tony, being able to see on a football field is rather important. I'm going out on a limb here. And all I can think of is that scene from Dodgeball where Peter LaFleur, a.k.a. Vince Vaughn, blindfolds himself, and then Jason Bateman, a.k.a. Pepper, the announcer goes, yeah, he will not be able to see very well, Cotton. Dude, I guess it's worthwhile to admit that you weren't wearing glasses, but now that you started wearing them again, hopefully your play gets better. Who knows? I mean, some dudes have no shame on the internet, which is fine. I'm not, let it fly. Speak your mind. Totally cool. I'm good with it. Yeah. So let's see how this works out for him and the Baltimore Ravens. And there's videos on the internet of him getting, smoked down the field and missing coverage completely. Why? Because, he couldn't see anybody. Ridiculous. Good luck, Tony. We wish you the best there, brother. Congratulations. All right. Braves get a big win last night against the Red Sox. And before we get to the Vaughn Grissom stuff, which is the part of the reaction to the game and even the overreaction, there was something that I took note of when it comes to Brian Snitker and managing the game. If you look inside the box score last night, if you watched the game, and I don't know how closely you guys might have paid attention to it, but there's a couple of things that were a little bit head-scratching to me when I look at the game. Kyle Wright goes 6 innings, scatters 6 hits in the run, because anytime you have more than 3 or 4 hits, you have to scatter the rest of them. And he only throws 77 pitches. Now, at the end of the 6th inning, it was a 3-1 game. After the top of the 7th, it was a 5-1 game. And my guess is that Brian Snitker had every intention of letting him go out for the 7th inning until they scored 2 runs in the 7th when the aforementioned Vaughn Grissom hit a home run in his first major league game. We'll get to that in a second. So I think that's classic overmanaging, to be honest with you. Why? And it's more beyond the result that Dylan Lee came in and gave up a 3-run bomb to Tommy Pham, and it made it a 5-4 game at that point in time. Things got a little bit tight around the collar. 77 pitches. You know what? I have been a huge proponent of, and I don't know why managers don't do this. Let the guy start the inning. Guy gets on, then you yank him. You could get a 1-pitch pop out. There's no reason, and of all things, and here's the other part that was a little bit head-scratching to me. You're in a 5-1 game. It's not necessarily a high-leverage situation, but it feels like to me that would have been the spot for Raisel Iglesias. He's pitched in really kind of mop-up roles. He did pitch in the game last night against Boston, but the 2 games against the Mets were not games that really was any high-leverage situation. And this is a guy I would have thought that you would have used more in those high-leverage spots because of why you brought him here. And Jansen, who pitched last night as well, he's only pitched twice now since the 31st, I think it was. It's been 10 days. So I don't know. I always kind of question Snit's deal with the bullpen and his handling of it at times. I think that was one of the biggest criticisms he got when he got here. Something I think was really well deserved. Obviously, he's won a World Series now, so you don't necessarily question him anymore. That is what it is. But regardless, it worked out well for the Braves last night. Iglesias does pitch the ninth, by the way. It wasn't a safe situation, but Braves will head down to Miami, and they will take on the Marlins. Now, quickly to Vaughn Grissom. Incredibly special night, very special start. And can we just put the brakes on crowning the guy after 4 Major League at-bats? Oh, well, just like Michael Harris, he skipped AAA. Look at the start he had. Oh, it's going to be Michael Harris. Stop. Oh, well, look, now we got the shortstop in future. Maybe we let Dansby go. Stop. Okay. You better hope that Grissom is as good as Dansby is. You better hope. You better hope he's another Dansby Swanson. Because if he's not, he's still going to have a pretty decent Major League career for a long time. You better hope that he plays that well. Guys, in reality right now, Grissom is nowhere to play. He's here until Ozzie Albies gets back, and that's the end of it. Now, he'll stay up through September because he's already here, right? And the rosters expand and everything else. There's no reason to. But he'll start next year in Triple. Where are you going to play him? Short of not being able to sign Dansby Swanson, that'd be the only reason. He's got nowhere to play. Even if he could play third, that guy's locked up. Even if he could play second, that guy's locked up. And if you lock up Dansby, which I guarantee you they have every intention of doing, every intention of doing. If it was up to Alex Anthopoulos right now, he'd say, yes, we're extending Dansby. He's got nowhere to play. So settle on the, let's write this guy's future after 4 Major League at-bats. Great start. Not taking anything away from it. Special. Really special. Awesome bat flip. And if he never plays another day in the majors, that home run swing with that bat popping out, I'd have that framed. I'd have that framed with him finishing the swing and the bat and the side flipping away. Bam. Perfect picture. That should be framed in that dude's house for the rest of his life. That is an awesome moment. But stop it. All right, that'll do it for us today. Appreciate you guys listening and watching A to Z right here on our YouTube channel, on our live stream. Of course, you can get all of our podcasts wherever you get them. Just search Locked On Sports Atlanta. Check out all the shows we got here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, ATL Day Ones, Peyton Harvey, John Chuckery, the Braves Postcast, as well as Locked On Falcons, Locked On Hawks. Subscribe and like the YouTube channel as well. Get us over to the 3,000. We are excited that you guys are on alongside with us for this journey. I'll be back for the final live stream edition of A to Z tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern. You guys have a great day. Don't get crap.